Hello and welcome to aTech. If you're a regular, you'll know that we are consistently bringing you topics that could change our future. Today we're going to tell you some great news. Have you ever heard of these artificial trees that trap CO2? This is no joke, they exist. 36 billion tons, the amount of CO2 that accumulates in the atmosphere every year. It's likely to increase further with our independence in coal and fossil fuels. Stay on to the end and we'll tell you everything. As a reminder, CO2 is the second gas responsible for the current global warming. At its contribution to the greenhouse gas effect, it is ordered of 26 to 60%. According to experts, more than half of the CO2 in the air can be absorbed by living organisms, oceans, and plants, but they focus mainly on the latter. According to them, plants are the simplest and cheapest solution that humans can easily achieve. Plants, especially trees, play two roles in preserving the environment. In addition to absorbing CO2, they also release oxygen. They reduce greenhouse gases and purify the air we breathe. Various studies have been conducted to prove their potential. They've shown that trees are real carbon sinks. During these same analyses, their absorption capacity was identified. This concluded that the adult plant can consume up to 80 kilograms of CO2 a year. This seems enormous, doesn't it? But you should know that the industrial installation process millions of tons of gases every day. In addition, our traditional means of transportation emit at least 221 kilograms of CO2 per year. Our food production methods, which account for 24% of the planet's carbon emissions, the list is long. Imagine the number of trees that we could have planted to compensate for such a gap. The unfiltered CO2 directly thickens the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. With this in mind, the American researcher Claxus Lackern decided to turn to science. His solution? Artificial trees. According to the inventor, this was the key element to solve the current climate change. How crazy is that? But how can they really help us? Dr. Claus is director of the Center of the Study of Carbon Emissions of Arizona State University in the United States. Since 1995, he has been actively studying the ways to reduce greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. He and his students began capturing CO2 from the air to conduct experiments. In the course of the experiments, they tried to find different materials that could absorb the gas. After several trials, Claus and his colleagues thought that they had found an ideal solution. The result of the study was an artificial tree, a device that can absorb carbon dioxide and transform it into cleaner gas. Unlike in ordinary trees, this one has no branches, roots, or leaves. It looks more like an air conditioner at home, but with an unusual shape. The prototype is notably made of polymer resin plastics. According to him, the tree would have a certain chemical reaction with CO2. This allows it to capture and then store it. When the device is filled, it is immersed in water to release the gas. After that, another reaction follows to transform it into a solid, liquid, or a gaseous body. The result would be harmless to the planet. To test their invention, Claus and his students installed it for more than a year on the roof of the university. During this time, they observed and improved it over time. Claus pointed out that it's an automatic device. It only required minor adjustments from time to time. These synthetic trees are now attracting interest to many countries. For most, it would be a more promising approach to the constant threat of global warming. However, others think that it is a significant weakness. According to them, the device is not 100% efficient and it also emits CO2 when it operates. This confirms Claus' announcement in the media. He especially stated that his tree requires only a small amount of energy to liquefy the gases. This is a positive result compared to the other devices already invented so far. According to him, if plugged into the US power grid, the tree would only emit 200 kilograms of CO2 and absorb 1 ton of the gas. Then, he added that it would be very different from the energy that came from renewable sources like wind turbines or solar plants. On the other hand, analysts believe the economics of this system are fragile. Mexico releases 40 million tons of pollution into the atmosphere each year. In 2017, road pollution in the country killed more than 14,000 people, so much so that the residents were advised to stay home. They're even advised not to engage in the outdoor activities. But all of this was detrimental to the visibility of the population. Since 2019, an optical tree has appeared in the Mexican city of Puebla. This tower made by aTech absorbs environmental pollution, then the tree stores it in the tanks. Finally, releases more oxygen. How would you put it? The tower, called biourban, is 4 meters high and consists of cylinders filled with microalgae. It performs a biological process similar to that of a real tree. Basically, you'll have understood a kind of photosynthesis. This means biourban absorbs the air and its pollution and then dispenses the oxygen. In fact, it can clean as much air as 368 natural trees. Biourban trees are no different from real trees. Ideally, we would like to be able to plant natural trees to take care of the carbon absorption, but in cities, it is very difficult to free up enough space to plant 368 trees in the same area. Biourban can compensate for this lack of space to benefit from inhabitants in the air they breathe. So, they can be placed in high traffic areas or restrictions with heavy traffic. A solution, capable of absorbing a large part of the pollution, can be used on the other large cities around the world. Based on 20 years of research and development, Mechanical Trees TM is a system that is safely permitted removes CO2 from the air. Unlike other direct air capture systems under development, Mechanical Trees TM requires no energy to capture CO2. Instead, it reduces the amount of capture by allowing the air to circulate. That's why the technology is called direct air capture. Treating the CO2, however, is a very different story. This optimized column is 10 meters high when operational. It is an absorbing tile that expands and contracts to constant temperature cycles. The concentration of atmospheric CO2 is constant regardless of location. Thus, the Mechanical Tree TM does not need to be located near the continuous CO2 source. Over the next 10 years, Silicon Kingdom Holding aims to increase the global distribution of Mechanical Trees TM farms. A small-scale version of Mechanical Tree TM will be used for mass production and use. The company plans to deliver Mechanical Tree TM trusses with a capacity of up to 4 million tons per farm year. While looking for an efficient way to use less energy and additional collection phase, Lacker came across a Japanese project that had potential for its own. He found that Japanese could collect uranium from seawater using artificial algae. The concentration of uranium in seawater is 1,000 times more dilute than atmospheric carbon dioxide. By avoiding any treatment until the carbon dioxide has been significantly concentrated, the amount of energy required to remove the CO2 should be greatly reduced. Finding a medium that can cycle between capturing and releasing the gas without applying heat or pressure would further reduce energy requirements. In any case, Claus and his collaborators seem to be more motivated than ever for developing their artificial trees. Moreover, the project has now been supported by Wallace Brockett, one of the Americans' most influential climate scientists. Brockett says that the Claus is one of the most smartest physicians in the world. As we speak, the famous inventor is already working on a big project that could offer even more potential. According to him, a single tree it can be capable of absorbing up to 90,000 tons of CO2 every year. That's the equivalent of emissions from nearly 20,000 cars. An estimated 60 million of these trees could absorb all the CO2 we emit today. That's not all. Such an invention is one with the few options to reduce the current rate of carbon emissions. It would really be a first, but will it work? We'll have to see in years to come. That's it. We've already come to the end of our video. If you liked it, don't hesitate to share it. And if you have any questions, tell us in the comments. By the way, if you don't forget to subscribe to turn on notifications, be aware of our next videos. A little blue thumbs up from you will make us really happy too. And we'll see you soon on aTech.